Did you receive a 1099-K? Well, if you did, it's important to watch this video because I have clients that have received this form and been assessed hundreds of thousands of dollars in IRS taxes, and we've had to fight and claw with them to get this money back and to get this money stopped from being assessed. And it's all because they didn't address the 1099-K that they received correctly and they didn't file the appropriate tax return. So I'm going to explain in this video exactly what this form means, what you should be doing if you get a 1099-K, and why you would get one in the first place. Okay? So let's get to it. First, for all of you, if you don't know, the 1099-K is payment card and third-party network transactions. So most commonly, if you have a Stripe account and you're getting paid via credit card to your company, Stripe is going to issue you a 1099-K. And this form is going to show exactly how much you invoiced through Stripe, how much they processed on your behalf. So I'm going to share my screen and go through this a little bit so we can see here on the IRS website. 1099-K is payment card and third-party network transactions. So IRS provides transition relief. Form 1099-K threshold is $5,000 for calendar year 2024. So if you sold more than $5,000, you are going to get a 1099-K. So when you apply for your Stripe account or any other payment processor, you're going to be giving them your information, your tax information. You're going to say your EIN, your LLC, and your EIN, and what your tax classification is. Now, for a lot of my Stripe accounts, I've opened them up as like single member LLC Stripe accounts. I have too many Stripe accounts. They're always getting closed and opening them, and it's annoying. But I have some different 1099s to show you. So you can see there's this 175,000 went through this account here, and there's 536 transactions, and this is actually being sent to the IRS. So the IRS is going to know how much you sold. Now, this is really important because if you are an American, if you're like me, James Baker, I need to make sure that the sales I put on my tax return associated with this TIN number, that my sales are higher than this number. If not, that's a huge red flag. The IRS is going to get all your 1099-Ks, and they automatically can add them up, and they can make sure that and see if your sales are higher or lower. If your sales are not as high as your 1099-K transactions, then you're potentially underreporting income, and that's not something you want to do, and that invites you to be audited. We don't want to get audited. Now, if you're a single person, you put this on your Schedule C, and if you're a foreign person, or if you're a business, you're going to put it on your 1065, your 1120S, or whatever tax forms you have for your company, but you want to make sure the EINs match up. Now, if you have a TIN on here and you signed up as a sole proprietor, but you made an S-Corp election or something later, you need to, I would potentially still do a Schedule C, all income in, all the sales on your Schedule C, and then same amount as expenses, just to remove that audit red flag on your personal taxes. I did this for this one. I had signed up like this, but I pick it up under my business because this LLC is under one of my businesses, and I pick it up on the business return, but still on my personal return, I'm going to put the total amount of sales on here and then the total amount of expenses that are equal, and I'll put on as the description of the expenses picked up on form this of this company. Right? Now, here's where it gets interesting. I have a number of clients who have had issues in the past with the IRS. So if you're a non-resident and you sign up in your own name, it's potentially a red flag. Now, I have a guy who I'm working with now. He had a Stripe account in his own social, and he got this 1099-K, and he left the U.S. years ago, but he's using his Social Security number. Now, this guy has got a notice from the IRS. They filed a substitute return. So if you get a 1099-K in your own social, you need to file a return and tell the IRS there's no taxes due. If you just don't file a return, then the IRS is going to get this 1099-K, see you didn't file taxes, and then just file a tax return for you. They'll say, okay, 175, what's the tax if we put this in as your income? They won't calculate expenses because they won't have them, and they'll just assess a tax. Now, this guy I'm working with, he was assessed over $100,000 tax because he sold like $400,000 through his business. He's doing e-commerce. Obviously, he didn't have 100% margin. He had expenses, but because he didn't file a tax return, the IRS filed what's called a substitute filed return, an SFR. I think that's what it's called. And they just assess the tax. They send them a notice. They say, hey, you owe this much in taxes. Now, what we did is we filed a correct return, and we're sending them letters. We're pushing the IRS, and it's an annoying thing. Eventually, we'll get this settled, and I've done it before for clients who've had 1099-Ks come through, and they've had taxes assessed. But it's annoying to have a huge tax bill and then have to deal with the IRS and have to fight them and have them just assess a tax because you didn't file your tax return. So it's really important to file your tax returns correctly, and I'm going to mention this on another video. So if you're a non-resident or if you're a resident, it doesn't matter. If you're selling on Stripe, if you're selling on any payment processor, they're going to give you a 1099-K. PayPal does them too. And you're going to have to file a tax return and report those sales. Even if there's no tax to pay, we want to report them. Now, it's an interesting case for the foreign-owned single-member LLCs. I've had this issue as well. So if you are a foreign person and you have an LLC and you use your EIN, and then the IRS gives you a 1099-K, you don't need to file a personal tax return. You file your 5472, and if the IRS tries to write you a letter, and I've gotten this before, I've had the IRS write a letter and say, where's your tax return? You didn't file a tax return. We responded to the letter, and we told the IRS this is a foreign-owned single-member LLC with no U.S. trade or business. Well, with no effectively connected income with the U.S. trade or business, and there's no tax to be assessed here, and there's no tax to be calculated, and we were able to have that resolved right away. I think they just never sent another letter. And this has happened 2 or 3 times to me. One of them, they didn't send another letter. The other one, we talked to the agent and they said, okay. There's another IRS agent that we were dealing with where we had to get this resolved. But at the end of the day, if you're doing business from outside the U.S., you can use the U.S. payment processor with the U.S. company and still not pay taxes. But depending on how your company is set up, if you have a multi-member LLC, you have to make sure that you include at least all of those on the 1099-K as sales. That's what really I want to hammer home on the point here. The 1099-K is nothing to be scared of, but just know the IRS has that information. That's literally the only information they're going to have. For this LLC that I have, that's the only information that IRS has about that LLC is that it's had this much in sales. So if you need help reporting your taxes, or if you have a 1099-K and you don't know what to do with it, or if you need help doing your 5472s or opening bank accounts or navigating taxes or accounting and especially as a foreign person and opening bank accounts, all that stuff, definitely encourage you to schedule a free call with me and the team. That's all I really have to talk about here about the 1099-K. I mean, it comes through and it reports your total sales, and you want to make sure that you address it correctly when you file your taxes. And if you don't, the IRS will just assume that you made the money and you might have to deal with them in the back end. Okay, so let me know if you have any questions, if I missed anything. This is really a short video, and we'll be in touch. Thank you so much. See you on the next video. Like and subscribe.